Not sure what to watch? We got you covered. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Circle Club. I'm Tyrone. Today we're talking about movies and TV shows that I watched in March. First off, before we start, I gotta thank my producer Luna. None of this would be possible without her. Alright, so first movie is Creed 3. So in this movie, Adonis Creed is thriving. He's got a family, he's got a wife, he's got his own gym, he's retired, he's sort of the champ, the king. When all of a sudden, his childhood friend Damien shows up. Damien, played by, of course, Jonathan Majors, just got into a little trouble. And Damien is looking for his shot. He's been in prison this the whole time. We find out that he sort of took the fall for Creed. So Creed sort of feels guilty and he wants to help him in some way. So he's like, I'll give you some money, I'll give you a job, let you work here. But no, Damien is like, I want a shot at the title. And they're like, all right, bro, come on. This is, you just got out of prison. What are we talking about here? But he is determined to get his shot. So when he's sparring with the actual champion, he's taking cheap shots, he's getting dirty. And this was like a nice sort of what I wanted Kang to be like in Ant-Man and the Quantumanium. Like, Jonathan Majors was sort of allowed to be that villain who had a sort of a justifiable reason for being a bit angry. But overall, I mean, the music in this was really dope. It really had that LA feel. This was also Michael B. Jordan's debut as a director. And if you're an anime film, this guy is clearly in love, obsessed with anime. There was a lot of cool cinematography and visuals going on there that paid homage to some of the great animes out there. Would I watch it again? Like with most blockbusters, it sort of depends, right? Maybe if it was on, if your friends wanted to watch. But I thought it was just a great blockbuster movie, but it had a lot of heartfelt, strong moments. And I would say you don't really need to watch Creed 1 or 2 to enjoy this. So if you like Michael B. Jordan, if you like Jonathan Majors, then I would say you definitely should watch this movie. Next up is Return to Seoul. This was like, wow. Like, this is one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Return to Seoul is about this French woman. She's 25 years old, born in Korea, goes back to Korea for the first time to find her birth family, but she's hesitant because she's grown up French, she's disconnected to the culture, she's not really sure what to expect from her father and mother. This is a beautiful little indie film. I thought it had a lot of great elements from Everything Everywhere at Once, and also the movie Lion. I did a full review, so I'm not going to go fully into this. You can go check that out. I would strongly recommend you check this movie out if it's in a theater near you or if it hits streaming. Alright, I got a hot take. White Chicks sucks. That is a terrible movie. This movie did not age well. I didn't think it was funny. The costume was sort of weird. The fighting back and forth, it was just awkward. I couldn't even finish it. I'm going to be honest with you. I always finish movies. This one, I got through maybe 15, 20 minutes. I was like, can't do it. Can't do it. But it's one of those things that you remember growing up laughing, liking it, but then you watch as an adult, you're like, nah, this is not it. And the only reason I did watch is because Marlon Wayans had his special come out. So I was like, all right, let me go check his works per se. But it just, this was not good. Would not recommend. I don't get the hype. I don't understand how adults like this movie. Just a lot of like classic 2000s racist jokes and just, misogynist jokes. It just was not very funny to me. On the flip side, we got Marlon Wayans' God Loves Me special. I actually thought this special was well done. It was funny. It didn't make me like belt laugh, but it was funny. It was definitely interesting how he connected his family's history. The Wayans have a huge history throughout Hollywood. It's sort of an unexpected retelling of Chris Rock and Will Smith. Marlon Wayans is connected to all three parties involved, Jada Pinkett. So he goes through and tells his connection of how he's met each of them, sort of how he didn't really feel bad for Chris, but at the same time he did feel. Got into his relationship with Will. Apparently Marlon Wayans and Jada Pinkett were very close, and then she introduced Will, and he had a crush the whole time, so it was sort of like, dang it. But I sort of thought it was a clever way to tell his upbringing, his story, his family's history, and just this big pivotal moment that everyone knew. So I thought that was really well done, so kudos to him. White Chicks, not so much. He also did pretty well in the movie Air, which I will get into next month because I saw it in April. Alright, let's jump into the TV shows. First, let's start with Netflix MH370, the plane that disappeared. So I'm not sure if you all remember, but in 2014, there was a Malaysian Airlines flight that completely just disappeared. There was 240 passengers just gone. It was insane. No one knew what happened. They were searching. So this documentary sort of dives into what happened, what they think happened, theories, and just the fallout, the pandemonium from everyone freaking out. I think this documentary does a great job of setting up what happened and where it went and where we are now, but I think there are definitely moments where the pacing feels like they're milking things a bit too much, which is always a problem with a lot of documentaries, but it feels like they're sort of gassing it up. Like, you're like, all right, I mean, that's definitely not what happened. You know what I mean? And so there are definitely moments like that. But for the overall, I think it's definitely a cool, interesting story, especially if you heard a little bit about it at all. And I think it will remain to be one of the great mysteries of all time. Who knows? So season 3 of Ted Lasso is back. And I gotta be honest, it's losing its magic for me. I don't know. Like, I used to run on Fridays to watch it. Maybe it's on Wednesday, which is sort of difficult to get to. But I'm just not running to watch this series this year. I don't know. Does anyone else feel that way? Am I completely off? But it feels like a lot of the plots of Ted Lasso, it's getting stretched out. It feels like, okay, if this is the series finale, like, we gotta get moving. We gotta have things happening. And so far from these first few episodes, I just have not been really in love with it. When something just takes over the nation because it's just such an interesting story and it's fun, and it's different, you expect when you're like, all right, we only got 10 episodes left of this entire project, you want every episode to be like boom, boom, boom. And it feels like I'm just not really getting that from Ted Lasso. Nathan is at a new club, but he's still just being a dick. Roy and Keely have gone their separate ways, which is sort of interesting, but at the same time, feels a bit like, okay, that's a big decision to make in the final season, especially after it felt like Roy had grown so much and Keely has grown so much. I really liked what they were doing with Dr. Fieldstone at the end of season 2, and I thought that could sort of pick up and keep going and work on some of the Ted issues that he has. Because I think for me, one thing I like but hate about Ted is his optimism, is, oh my god, he's so happy, because I just feel like, okay, this character has some issues that he needs to figure out. And it just feels like he's a ticking time bomb, and you're like, okay, the end of season 2, it felt like he was working on that, growing, and now we're back into Ted being full-on Ted, and I'm like, I don't know. But Ted is definitely a fun show. Like, I think this is a feel-good type of show. It's a show that you can just turn on and play in the background. A lot of these projects, man, that I'm mentioning in March just feels the same way. But yeah, I'm not loving it where it is right now, but it is definitely something I would say to check out the first season, because even if you don't like soccer, football, it's just a great feel-good story, and Jason Sudeikis, he's the man. Next up is The Amazing World of Gumball. I finally watched this show. People have been recommending it for years, TikTok commenting, but like, I had no idea what to expect. But this show is very funny, and especially for a children's show, like sort of like Summer Camp Island, it has that adult theme to it where it's or adult concepts or ideas where, you know, they might mention capitalism or how student loans are terrible, and it's funny to get that perspective from kids, or to imagine kids watching this show. But it's very cool, mixed medium. It's very short, they're consumable. I would say if you're someone who likes to watch under the influence, this is definitely one of those shows that you would watch and crack up. And again, it's digestible, they're short, they're quick, and they have good messages. It really reminds me of some of the OG Cartoon Network shows that we got. So this one, surprisingly, is probably one of the better TV shows that I watched in March. Next up, Abbott Elementary. So we had the mural episode, teacher appreciation, and the festival. And just quick, because I think we all know at this point Abbott Elementary is a banger. I need them to just pause with this show, record what they're gonna record, and just give us something consistent, because man, I tell you, it's just like 1 week you got an episode, then you gotta wait a month. You get an episode, then you gotta wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's all over the place. And they are great. We love them, but it's just like, come on, Quinta, give us a consistent schedule, ma'am. Alright, for my last two here, I'm gonna jump into some anime. For number 1, Fullmetal Alchemist. Yo, this show is so creative, so clever. It uses the elements. It's about these two brothers who have lost their bodies and souls due to using alchemy in a prohibited way. And so they essentially are like cursed. And so they have to find this thing called the Philosopher's Stone to try to get their bodies back. And the reason that their bodies, which I don't really want to give it away, but I think it's it makes it more interesting is their mother dies. You figure that out very early. Their mother dies, and they're trying to do anything that they can to get this woman to come back, to the point that they break the laws of alchemy and they are punished for it. Now you have Edward and Alphonse Elric, who are just trying to figure out how we get our bodies back. And as they're doing this, they're making adventures and traveling and meeting people and getting more clues to, like, is the Philosopher's Stone even possible? Is this even real? It kind of made me think of that Harry Potter sort of quest type of plot. But I would say this is one that you could watch in dub, which is like, oh, thank God. Like, when you can find a good anime that you can watch in dub, put on the background, is the best. Because if you're not a Japanese speaker, it's like, oh, I gotta really focus, you know, like put the phone on do not disturb. But I would highly recommend this to people who are interested in Harry Potter, alchemy, chemistry, science, all that sort of stuff. They do a absolute phenomenal job with this. All right, last but not least, I'm not even gonna go too long on this, but I am now around episode 820 of One Piece. Listen, folks, listen to what I just said. I am on episode 820 of One Piece. Have you watched anything? Have you listened to anything? 820 times. I cannot stress enough how One Piece is for everyone. This is a show, I promise. Doesn't matter gender, sex, race. You will find something or someone in this show that you relate to, that you're rooting for, that you love. And fundamentally, this is a story about friends, friendship, and the pursuit of your dreams and goals. I mean, this is just, I would put this on par with Shakespeare, the Odyssey. Like, this is it. And the reason why I'm letting you know about this now is at some point over the next year, two, we're going to find out about the One Piece, and it's going to be like Endgame. It's going to be like at the end of Harry Potter when you find out what you find out. Once that information is on the internet, once that information is out there, I don't want to say it's too late, but you're going to be like, wow, I missed the ball. Like, this is essential. You need to start watching One Piece. Like, this is a must-watch show. All right, that's gonna do it. Some other honorable mentions: The Mandalorian started, but I still haven't finished that. The Last of Us, I got one more episode. I gotta finish that. Succession is back. Sex Education is really good, except the episode that certain people got their first kiss in, I was like, this is disgusting. But yeah, overall, March was iffy. I'm hoping April is better. Make sure you guys subscribe because I make new content all the time. Let me know in the comments what you're watching. Check out some of my other reviews and gameplay. I'll see you all next time. And remember, as we always say, just be you. Peace.